Morning, YouTube hikers. Ray from Hike-ALOT. Hey, this morning we're going to dive into something that's critical to all of us. That's going to be water on the trails. Talking specifically today about filtering. We're going to go through a variety of filters that are out there on the market, pros and cons on some of them. It's not every filter that's out there. It's the ones that I have on hand here and at least have some experience using and can speak to. And let's dive in. We're going to start with the Lifestraw. This one is one that most people are at least familiar with and have used it. I honestly almost never use these things. And you'll notice this one looks a little bit different, and I'll explain to you why. So just by the numbers real fast. This one's about 1.6 ounces. Says they're good for up to 1,000 gallons. And it takes you down to a pore size of 0.2 microns, which is going to get all the bacteria and parasites and all that fun stuff. But you'll notice this one looks a little bit different, and that's because of one of my biggest pet peeves about these filters. The typical Lifestraw, which doesn't have the ridges on the outside of it, has a little draw tube up here for you to suck out of. You're forced to stick this down into the water and drink from it, and that sort of limits the number of options that you have for using and deploying this. So the reason I have this one, and I have some regular ones around here somewhere, but honestly I haven't seen and used those things in so long I couldn't tell you where they even are. But this one fixes that, and it comes with this little bottle. So now I can at least scoop up my dirty water, thread this in, and get it straightened out, thread this in, flip my cap up, and at least have a bottle that I can walk around with. And that kind of fixes that limitation of having to shove my face into the water to drink with. I definitely would not want to be using a normal standard Lifestraw in, say, alligator territory. May get your face eaten off there. But this at least kind of helps you do that. So a normal sort of Lifestraw, I think on Amazon they're about 20 bucks. This bottle kit, I think I paid $35 for it. And I'm going to put links to all these items as we go through them down in the description here. So if any of these sort of strike your fancy, check them out. Like I said, the Lifestraw works really well. It is limited with the options on it, so that is not very high on my list of favorites. But adding the bottle on here does make it a good little alternative for day hikes and stuff like that. So, Lifestraw. Next up, we have the Rapidpure, which you guys saw me unbox in a pneumatic box the other day. Okay, so as you see, this one's very similar to the Lifestraw in that I have a cartridge I'm dropping down into the water and I'm drinking from some form of a tube. Now they do have bottled versions that are like the Lifestraw that I showed earlier, where you actually have that ladling in bottle. Now just the straight filter here, and this one does come with a replaceable cartridge here. It says it does 25 gallons for purification and then 200 gallons for filtering, and then you can swap this out. So this entire unit is about $31 on Amazon right this minute. If you go into and get the bottles that you ladle in, it depends from a pricing perspective on which ones you get. The ones that are they actually have stainless ones that are a little more pricey. I think those go up to about $100, and when you use something that's more like a plastic or BPA free, it kind of falls in between there with the pricing. They do have a handful of different options on here. So this is going to be down to 0.2 microns. It's going to get all the bacteria and viruses and all that fun stuff. Excuse me, it says 99% of viruses, bacteria, and parasites from other drinking water. Cartridge life, I have not used these, so I really can't say for sure. But they do have really great reviews on here, and it's super light. It's about 3 ounces for the entire thing. It's a pretty good size filter, and they do have some gravity feed options too, which is always a plus. I'm much more prone to gravity feeding when I'm out in the woods, so worth checking out, the Rapidpure. Okay, next up we have what really kind of falls into being one of my favorites across the board. These are going to be the Sawyer selections. All right, so we've got 3 different options here, and each one of them has its pros and cons. So this is the Sawyer Mini. Now all 3 of these filters, they're going to go down to 0.1 microns. They list out it being good for 100,000 gallons of water. They're not going to last that long. They're going to get filled up. But a lot of people like these, and ignore this, they don't come with this. I actually have duct tape on here. It just so happens that these minis are exactly the right width for the 2-inch duct tape, so I always store some right here just so I know I have it. but the little minis here, I gravitate toward the Sawyer products because they have a handful of options. So they always typically come with a bite tube that you can thread onto the bottom, toss into the water, and drink out of it just like you would a normal Lifestraw. But then you can also go through and you can inline your Camelback if you use one here, and so you can drink straight from there. But another solution, this is what I typically do. This is what I typically do more often than not. They will just thread onto our drink bottles here. They're all common threading. And so now I can just fill this with dirty water and just drink directly from here. And they also work really well with something like these CNOC bottles, where I can just thread this onto the bottom, hang it up on a tree, and let this drain clean water into my water container. So that's usually my preferred method of doing it. It's more of a gravity hang, but I do like, while I'm on the trail, just being able to thread this onto my water bottle and just drink directly from here. Gives me a lot of versatility, and all three of these filters will do that. So the difference between the three filters: this one's the lighter option without the duct tape, of course. Obviously that's weighing it down. It does have a slower flow rate, but they are going to all kind of go down to that 0.1 micron. So this is the mini. And this one's going to be about, you can find them anywhere from $15 to $20. If you look around, they're typically closer to 20, but you do catch them on sale quite often for about 15. And they all come with like these crazy kind of wonky Sawyer bags. I hate these things. They're horrible to fill up, which is why I always swap it out for one of those CNOC bags. But so you can pick these up. It has a slower flow rate. This is the mini. Now then the next one, which is the one that's more common for most hikers and backpackers, is going to be the squeeze. So again, same parameters. It does come with a few more options. So it'll thread directly on, or if you're going to inline it, you've got some attachments that come with it. Extra washers and all that fun stuff. Still comes with a bite tube. This one is going to run more like $30 to $40 depending on where you're looking at. And this one actually just has a flip top up here where you can drink directly from there, or you can take this off, swap it out for different tubes, different endings. Just kind of depends on the preference. A lot of times I will use the flip top on it more than anything. Higher flow rate, physically a bigger footprint than this one. They all work well, but this was kind of, I typically use this over this if I'm in the field for long term, but small bags, I'm normally carrying this. Now this one, okay, so this was the mini, this was the squeeze. This is the MicroSqueeze, which they tried to take the throughput capacity of this one and cram it into the size of this one. So it does have a better flow rate than this one. These are a bit harder to find. They typically run about $35 when you find them. Exact same features. They all come with the bags. They all come with connectors. They all thread onto your bottles. All of that stuff works really well. Typically, if I'm backpacking hiking, I take this one or this one because I can hang these up in the tree and they're going to flow. They're going to gravity flow a lot faster. So these are kind of my preferences out of all of them. They do all come with a big stopper plunger. These things are necessary for you to back flush them. I normally leave this at home though, because I'll take my bottle and after I have run clean water into it, these sport caps are the same diameter that plunger is, so I can just take that and thread that back over the clean water outlet and then back flush from there. Actually there, I just accidentally back flushed that and it just spit water all in my hand. Guess I had some more left in there. So that's how I do it. I leave that big plunger at home. But these are probably hands down my favorites, and as you can see, these get used a lot. Okay, so now that I've cleaned my mess up, that would be the Sawyer Mini, the Squeeze, and the MicroSqueeze, all by Sawyer. Okay, so next up we have the Katadyn or Katadyn hiker. And this is, so all the filters we've talked about so far, they really do nothing for the taste. And this is sort of that next step up in quality of filter that we have here. And so this is really the first one that's going to really substantially help the taste. We'll pull it out and show you what all we got here. And first off, all right, so this is the actual turn it this way so you can see. So this is the actual filter, and then these are the tubes. Keep the tubes separate. Keep the clean tube over here. Keep the dirty tube over here because I don't want to cross-contaminate my clean stuff with my dirty stuff potentially. But the way this filter works, you've got an inlet valve down at the bottom, and I'm going to take and thread my dirty tube onto here, and which the dirty tube does have. So this is the actual intake for it. You can put a bandana or a coffee filter over the end of it and sort of prolong the life of the filter. And then you've got a float tube that keeps it up. But then your hose here is just going to thread onto the bottom here. And then up at the top, you flip this out, up at the top, you have another outlet here so the other tube is going to go into here, and that's going to go into your Camelback or into your canteen. And then from there, you're actually just going to pump the water out. It does move it out pretty darn quickly. I find it to be pretty impressive. It moves stuff fast through there. And when the filter is done, all you do is you take, there's my cover. All you do is just screw this cartridge out, and then you replace this. So the entire filter, you can usually pick them up for about $80 to $100. You can get a replacement cartridge here for about $25. All right, so the life of these is going to go down to about 750 liters of water before you have to replace this tube. And these do go down to 0.2 microns. And this is going to pick up, it's going to filter out the sediment and any of the microorganisms like Giardia and things like that. But it also has a carbon filter in here, and that's what actually helps with the bad taste and the water smell and stuff like that. But it's also going to get all your normal sort of viruses and bacteria and stuff like that out. And it helps if I actually screw that in there correctly. It's a little bulky because you do have to carry all this entire apparatus, but it does work really well and it's super fast. All right, so and Katadyn also has a, and I had one somewhere, but now I can't seem to find it. They have a filter, a smaller version that's sort of like the micro or the mini for me, in that it just threads onto the end of the bottle, and it's less of this. And I have one somewhere, but I can't seem to find it. It's called the Katadyn Be Free, and you just put it on the end of a bottle. The reason I like the Sawyer over the Be Free is just the fact that I can put it on most bottles that we find here, like soft drink bottles and water bottles here in the States. So that's the reason I gravitate toward it. And that one, if you look for the Be Free, which is that smaller version, not this, that's about $25 to $30, sometimes $35. Like I said, this one's going to run you about 80 to 100. Replacement filter, 750 liters later, it's going to be about 25 bucks. Okay, next up for offering here is going to be the Grayl Geopress. Okay, so I'll tell you right out the gate. This is probably the heavier filter I have. It's about 16 ounces without the water in it. Capacity-wise, the standard Geopress is 24 ounces. The way this works, I'm going to take and I'm going to pull the bottom off of it here. This is my dirty water container. I'm going to ladle this into the water, and then I'm going to push this down through the water into here, and as it's going to force the water through this filter cartridge and into this clean water tube. And when you do that, quick tip, you're going to definitely have to be sure to open this, otherwise you're never going to get it pressed through there. Then your actual filter is down here, and so when you fill the filter up and it's no longer working, you actually replace just this little orange section down here, and these are usually 25, 30 bucks. The entire unit is normally about 100, give or take. On a rare occasion, I see them on sale for 80, but this is $25 to $30, and this filter is going to get all the waterborne pathogens, all the normal viruses and bacteria and protozoa and things like that. Things like Hep A and rotaviruses and noroviruses and Giardia and dysentery, all the bad stuff. Cholera, E. coli, crypto, all that stuff's going to get caught on here. Does a really good job. It is heavy, so because it's heavy, I don't typically backpack with this, but I do carry this. This is my go-to for day hiking, just because it's so quick. You can filter your 24 liters of water in about 8 to 10 seconds. You can see just pushing it through here, it goes through about that quick, with no water in here. With water in it, it may take a little bit more, but I'd say 8 to 10 seconds and you've got 24 liters of water, which is super versatile. You can hear it It's pretty sturdy, pretty durable, but like I said, with that comes it's heavy. Super good go-to, quick. It seems to clean everything. This one and the Katadyn are the only two that really help with the taste. But hands down, my go-to on day hiking, occasionally backpacking, just depends on how far I'm planning on walking. On the subject of the other filters though that don't help with the taste, if that is an issue for you, I do recommend in your pack, throw in little drink pack mixes like this. This is just Liquid IV or Propel or some of the other options that are out there. Just something to help make it a little more palatable for you to drink if you have issues with not drinking enough water because you don't like the taste of creek water or stream water or lake water or pond water. So be sure to carry something out there with you so everyone can stay hydrated. Okay guys, hope you picked up some nuggets in there that you can use to stay properly hydrated next time you're out on the trail. If you're out there right now, just like always, just remember, left foot, right foot, repeat. We'll see you out there soon.